YouTube, what is going on? Last fall when we talked, I told y'all I was putting a grip bag on my birthday and Christmas list. My family came through, man. They're so good. They love me so much. I got a grip bag. I'm super jacked about it. I played like 15, 20 rounds with it so far this spring. Before I go any further, shout out to my boy Dave Fleece. He's a guy that I know from around here. He wanted to do a bag update with me the next time I did it. Dave, sorry, bro. I just couldn't take it anymore. I needed to do one of these. I'm going to get you on the next one, though. We're going to make a bag update. It's going to be lit. It's going to be straight fire. I guarantee it. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the bag because the reality of the fact is if you want a review of the grip bag, you can find it about 100,000 other places than here. And I understand that. Not going to talk about it other than the fact that it's probably the best bag I've ever had. Basically, I'm of the belief that if you get a backpack-style bag, it's automatically better than the other, like, trough-style bags that sit on your butt and are super uncomfortable. I got a buddy who just got a Ranger bag. He loves it. So I'm not saying that the grip is, like, the only thing you can get out there, but if you want to upgrade to a backpack-style bag, go for it. It's definitely worth it. But I'm going to get right into the discs that I've been throwing because a lot of things have changed since the last time we talked. So I'm going to go up here to the putter pocket. Excuse me, putter quiver. Sorry, whip equipment. It's called the putter quiver. It even says so right here in this little tag that says 3-disc quiver pocket. Except for I like to push the limits, so I went with 4. And it seemed to hold up pretty all right. So the first one, you've seen it before, Discraft Zone. You've heard about it. The most reliable upshot putter out there. I know a lot of guys that throw like harps and daggers and stuff. To me, the Zone is unmatched. I love it so much. One thing that I have been doing different, it's kind of replaced my Wizards. It's this retro Makana from Last 64, the Trilogy Challenge last summer that I played. I like it because it feels basically just like a Wizard. I like the plastic a little bit better than I like the Wizards, even my organic one. But I've been doing this thing I saw on a video over the winter. My boy Michael Johansson. I love that dude. I don't know what it is. Like his style, his flow. I don't know what it is, but when Michael Joe's on the course, man, I gotta watch. But he was talking in this video from Discraft about how if you want a hyzer flip and you take your thumb and you put it from there to there, or somewhere thereabouts, that'll get you a nice hyzer flip. And that's what I've been doing with this Makana. Like real nice tight up shots. I know it's not going to flip and get squirrely on me. It's going to always finish left or maybe just flat depending on how much hyzer I put on it. Up shots, this is where my money's been at. So my putting putters have been something that I just got from my sister, actually. Shout out to my sister. She's awesome. She got me these for my birthday. They are the new-ish, I guess they're like a year old now, CT, which we all know means Cam Todd, but let's keep that on the hush-hush. Discraft's calling it Crazy Tough Challengers. I've always wanted to get my hands on a Challenger. But the Pro Ds, like the ones I can get around here, are all soft. I don't like soft putters. So they're both 168. I'm looking to maybe bag one that's like a 175 for a little bit more stability. This is my thrower that I use for upshots that I want to turn over a little bit, and then I want super low power, maybe outside the circle. That's this one. And this is my main putting putter, this white guy. It's so stiff. And like it's a little bit slick. It's almost like a KC plastic, but I like it a little bit better. And the Challenger, I love it. I love that bar stamp. It's so nice. It's so pretty. So those are my putters. Love those CTs. Definitely looking for some more. If you have any, let me know. I'm willing to pay. Maybe. But let's go into the main pocket here. I don't know how many discs I have in here. I'm not going to take the time to count right now. If you want to count, you can count as I go. But it's definitely big enough to hold everything that I have ever wanted to put in it. Right now, if you remember my last bag update, I was talking about how my mid-range game has shifted now entirely to Discraft. And I spoke to it a little bit in the last one that it's not so much about like personal preference as far as wanting to be like brand loyal, but so much more that it's just what fits me. And I talked about how I had a Nebula that I've had forever and a drone that were kind of taking my overstable slots. I was able to bag on a trade one of these Crystal Z Buzz OS's from the Memorial last year, and it has been everything that my wildest dreams could have imagined and so much more. It's that perfect complement between a drone. It's got more glide than a drone, carries farther than a drone, and it's a little bit more stable than a Buzz, or a lot of bit more stable, depending on how hard you throw it. But I love it. super flat top, super stable, and this metal flake Crystal Z plastic is just money. I love it. These two, here we go. The TI and the old Z that I have, these are kind of starting to get a little overlappy. I've been throwing this one more than this one, just because I don't really know why, but most all spring I've been throwing this one over this one, and they're starting to kind of do the same thing. But I am definitely using that thumb technique where I'm backing it off. You can see the spot where my thumb is kind of rubbed a spot there. So I'm just backing it off a little bit, and I'm throwing a little bit more on a hyzer flip and getting a little bit more of that nice finish that I want, rather than so much of that left to right action. But buzzes I love. I'll never be without a buzz. And then I got a one of the Discraft factory store misprint packages as part of my Christmas too. That was awesome. Shout out to my grandpa for being awesome. This one, I don't know what the stamp is, but it's an ESP buzz, and it's got a little bit of a puddle top to it. So I knew when I grabbed it, I was like, this is going to fit a perfect spot between my Z and then my Buzz SS, because it does have that little bit of turn more than the Z does, but it doesn't just tank right. So I can put it out there, throwing it flat with a fan grip, just like I throw my other buzzes, and it goes nice and flat for a while, and then at the end it just starts to tail off and checks up at the end, which is an awesome shot to have, especially on the courses that I play. And then the Buzz SS, I talked about it before, super unstable. I'm really liking it on that new hyzer flip line with my change in my grip that I have. It just is dead nut straight, goes way farther than any of the putters that I have. And through woods and stuff, it's great. Moving on to my fairways, which haven't changed a whole lot. I took that river that I had out of the bag, mostly because I backed up the JLS that I had before with another one. This one's getting kind of beat up, a little bit more flippy. Definitely a turnover disc that is still controllable. I can still do the hyzer flip thing. Low power, goes further than my Buzz does on a nice straight, somewhat movement inclined line. But this one is pretty beefy. It's kind of almost taking the spot of my old T-Bird that I have over here, because the T-Bird just seems to move a lot more but still finish straight. This one moves less, kind of like the other one used to. It moves less but still finishes straight. So T-Bird, like I said, fan grip, hyzer grip, it still does what a T-Bird does. And then I have my other T-Bird, which I did some Discraft artwork on because I love Discraft. Not to be a jerk, but I just love Discraft. And then another one from my misprint pack was a tournament stamped Avenger SS. And this one is one of the ones that I can just put out on a fan grip, even on a hyzer, and have it turn over. Sometimes if I grip it up and really crank on it, a little cut roller. I like this disc. I'm throwing this disc a lot more than I thought I would, so it's in the bag right now. Moving on to some of the drivers that I have, I've paired up this Flex Surge SS and this ESP Surge. I'd never thrown either one of these discs before. Well, maybe I had one Surge that was a long time ago, but I didn't give it enough work in the field. This disc is kind of like my Sampos were, but I like the plastic better. The elastoplastic was starting to get really flimsy, and I just didn't like the way it felt. This felt a little more secure in my hands, a little more firm. And it's 1.7 on the Discraft scale. I can throw it. It holds good hyzer, but it doesn't go as far as some of my big distance drivers do, so I can control it more in wood situations. This Surge SS, I was a little skeptical because other than the Buzz SS, well, now I also have an Avenger SS in my bag, but the SS, I'm always like, well, it's going to be too flippy for me. It's not going to work out. But really, this, for being an SS disc, as Discraft calls it, it really is more super straight rather than turnover or flippy like some of the other discs that they have. It has a good finish still, but it just gives me more left to right action in the first part of its flight. And the flex plastic, I think, probably contributes to that a little bit, but it is pretty heavy. It's a 173. But it's gotten me out of trouble in some spots where I've just really failed to locate my shot, but I wanted some forgiveness off the tee where I had some room to work, and I didn't necessarily think that I could throw a perfect hyzer shot in that situation, whether it was wind, whether it was trees, whatever it was. It gave me some forgiveness to know that I could I could kind of saw off a shot a little bit, and it would still pop up and even give me a little bit of ride for that extra distance that I need. So there's actually one particular hole at my local course where if I'm feeling confident in this disc, I'll just rip it, and it'll be great. If I'm not, I throw this, and it gets me the same result with the added forgiveness off the tee of knowing that I don't have to be perfect, and it'll still work. And I also have been throwing this on some pretty big hyzer lines, some spike hyzer lines that I want to sit and with the flex plastic stick and stay. So the Surge is something that's relatively new to my bag, and I've been liking it a lot. So last fall I had this first run crank that I've had for a while now, and it's been sweet. I love it. I still throw it. I actually just threw the longest throw that I've ever thrown in my whole life with this disc on a big downhill 515-foot hole, and I parked it, and like all the guys I was playing with, I play with them all the time, and they were just like, dude, that was bonkers. Like, how did you even do that? And really, it's just been working on something that I've been working on since last fall, getting that big elongated reach back, not kind of curling the arm and making sure that I'm leading with my shoulder. All those things that go into a good golf shot. I really try and stress the fundamentals because I'm not as naturally athletic as some of my friends who are just outrageous athletes and have picked this sport up super quick. But this is like almost like an equalizer for me because it allows me that big distance that I want without having to be super athletic, which I'm not, as you can see from my physique. But I love that crank, so I backed it up with this big Z crank, which is a little bit more stable. It's 172, but if there's just like a breath of wind in my face rather than the tailwind, which I normally throw the other crank with, I still have the confidence that this is going to give me that big flex if there's room and come back and finish. So I'm glad I backed this up, and I'm glad I was able to back that up. I'm currently throwing 4 forces, a couple of which you've seen before. I'll start with the most stable. It's a relatively brand new Z-Force. This took the place of the Destroyer and the I think it was a Giant maybe that I had at the last time I did a bag update. Everybody needs a reliable wind disc to just chuck, and that's what this has done for me. It's max weight. I can throw it into a headwind and know that it's going to give me maybe about that much left to right, and then just a big meat hook at the end. So I like that force. This is a brand new ESP force, which is just ever so slightly less stable than the Z one, but still a good disc to have, and even as a backup if I need it. But I'm really getting into that groove where I feel like I want to throw the things that I like. I want to throw the discs that I like and that I'm comfortable with. And so I'm putting more and more multiples in my bag, and the Force is definitely one of those discs. It's fast, but it's not extremely wide rimmed. It feels comfortable in my hand. I can get all 4 fingers around it without really feeling like I'm straining or hurting my hand or stretching tendons or anything like that, which is a problem I had with nukes. So the Force is definitely a staple in my bag. It probably will be for a long time. This is an older ESP. Right now, this one is like just perfectly seasoned to be dead straight. It gives me just that left to right that just kind of tracks, but I know I never even have to worry about it. Like some of my buddies, I'll throw it and they'll be like, "Oh no, dude, that's gonna work out like so terrible for you," and I'm just like, "Just wait. It's still a Force, and it comes back and it finishes left, and it's a perfect shot every time." And then I got that big turnover, super old, beat up ESP Force that is just great for long tunnel shot hyzer flips with a fan grip, and also just big turnovers off the tee. So those are my forces, and that brings me to my last 2 discs, both of which you've seen before. My favorite is this Z Predator. I've had this since the fall of 2011, and it is getting to the point where I'm throwing it more and more off the tee because it's not quite so crazy overstable, and it's more like a longer, faster T-bird, and I love that about it. I'm throwing this on forehands a lot, and I have another pretty pink pearly one coming in the mail for me that I got online that I'm super pumped, and I'm hoping it's going to be here like tomorrow. But just a backup to know the confidence that I have something that's going to be able to replace this if, God forbid, I ever lose it, because I love this disc so much. And then the Optoline Triple X, which I know I talked a lot about in my last bag update, of how really this disc is something that has shaved strokes off my game by incorporating a skip shot to get out of trouble. Being able to put a disc on a slight hyzer with a fan grip on the ground about 20-30 feet in front of me and have it skip to the left and carry down a fairway if my tee shot gets off the fairway. I've saved par so many times with this disc, and I really can't say enough about it. I did just get a Lava Felon at a tournament that I played like a week or so ago. And I'm wondering if that might be able to fit that same shot with this disc, because it is more controllable off the tee. I think I talked about it in the last bag update too, where if you throw this backhand off the tee, it just tanks super hard, which is okay. That's not a bad shot to have in your bag, especially for nice flex forehands. But if I can replace this disc with another disc that is useful for the same skip shot that I have this one for, but that I can also use in other situations, obviously that's more advantageous, and I'd like to be able to do that. But that remains to be seen. Basically, I'm really excited about this summer. I'm really excited about just the state of disc golf as a whole. I feel like with the Disc Golf World Tour and all the touring pros that are out there working tirelessly, I know, to just promote the sport of disc golf, creating some inroads with major sponsors like Paul Macbeth with Adidas. I know Macbeth gets some flack because he's just like insane and how good he is, but just the reality is the more people that can be high profile, that we get around the sport to be able to talk about how great the sport is. I was just watching a documentary on disc golf called Game of Throws. It's on Vimeo. If you Google Game of Throws, you'll be able to find it. Just the rich history that disc golf has, and just the way that it brings people together in such a unique way, especially families. As I'm married, I'm thinking about starting a family of my own, and just the vision that I have in my head of taking my kids out into the woods to be able to throw discs, have a good time as a family. That's something I know is going to be with me for the rest of my life, and I'm super excited about it. So disc golf, not just as exercise, which is something I've used it for, but as just a leisure activity and something that brings people together while also being competitive, which all of us, especially men with testosterone, we love competition. It's such a perfect game, and I can't explain how excited I am to just watch disc golf break into the mainstream, break into the public eye a little bit more, and hopefully still stay true to the roots of what it was and the way that it's grown as a sport. So thanks for watching. I know I'm just like a crazy long-winded dude. This one's a little bit shorter, I think, than the last one I was. But if you're stuck with me this long, I just want to say I appreciate that you're watching this video. I appreciate that you're a contributing member of the disc golf family. And I hope that maybe someday our paths will cross on the disc golf course. We'll be able to throw together. And until then, keep throwing them straight, keep throwing them long, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.